So hi, thank you for coming. My name is Sahana. I am the Director of Student Speakers for TEDxEmory this year, and this is the Student Speaker Competition Info Session. So thank you for joining. So a little bit about the Student Speaker Competition. Andy, sorry, before Andy or Megan, can y'all let people in if they're coming in? Thank you so much. Okay, so sorry about that. So what is the Student Speaker Competition? So it's an opportunity for Emory students to give a TEDx talk alongside the invited speakers. So the invited speakers are professionals in their area, and there are about 8 to 10 of them every main conference. And then so the student speakers will give a talk alongside them. And so all talks are added to the TEDxEmory website, YouTube, and the TED websites following the event. So if you go onto the TEDx YouTube, then you will see that all of the past talks are on there, and I will give you some links too for if you want to view those. And so this is also one of the only opportunities for a select number of students to give a TEDx talk at an official TEDx conference. There aren't that many TEDx organizations around us, and so this is one of the only opportunities you can do that. I see a couple more people have come in, so give me 1 second. I'm just gonna send the sign-in document again. So if you could sign in, that would be wonderful. It's just a spreadsheet. All right. Okay, and so the timeline for the student speaker competition. So January 11th, today, the application opens. It's already live. So if you go on to the TEDxEmory website and go onto the apply button and go to student speakers, you'll see it. I'm gonna also put this information in the chat as well and the link to the application as well. There you go. Yep, that's the form, and then that's where you can find it on the website. And so January 11th, it opens, that's today, and it's due January 31st at noon, and like noon, not 12 midnight. That's something that we always get. So, because we're going to be looking at it that night. And then decision notifications are going to be sent out by February 1st. And then after that, February 11th to 13th, we'll have our first interview round. So if you're invited to the interview rounds, we'll have that over that time whenever the both of us are free, and the decisions will come out by February 15th. And then if you go on to the next round, that's March 4th through 6th. That's the same kind of deal, and the decisions will be out by March 10th. And then our main conference is April 17th, and you must be available sometime in the end of March to record a talk because of the virtual setting of this conference. And we will figure out a time to do that. And if you're in Atlanta, that's great. We will try to work with you to see if we can set up a space to record and stuff like that. And if you're not in Atlanta, that's also totally fine. We will work with you to get you set up and record everything the way we want it to be. And so it looks professional and amazing, and you can give your best talk. So what makes a good TEDx talk? Tell us a story. Tell us something from your life. Take from your own experiences. Use your knowledge that you've gained from a passion you've dived deep into. I know this kind of sounds like a college application, but trust me. And speak from your heart and speak the truth. Spread knowledge. That's what TEDx is all about, spreading unique ideas. And think unique. Think about the TEDx talks you've already seen before, and just whatever idea that comes to your mind. There are no bad ideas. And so about the application itself and what you'll see on the application. So a short bio. This is a chance for us to get to know you. It's just around 1 to 2 paragraphs, and it's just a chance to learn about your personality. And then 1 to 2 paragraphs about the TEDx talk idea itself. And you can talk more about this in the video, which I'll talk about, but this is just kind of like an outline of what you might want to talk about. Again, it doesn't need to be fully fledged ideas, just kind of an overview of what you're thinking about. And then this year we're making a 3 to 4 minute video mandatory, just because we're going to be talking with each other virtually this entire time. So just to know a little bit about how you speak and how you are. So, and that'll be about a bit more about yourself and your own story. And then there are some logistical questions about the virtual setting itself and how comfortable you are with it. So that's most of the application. And I have a couple of, usually we play a video from a past TEDx student speaker talk, but I will send this in the chat for your own viewing pleasure at whenever you would like to. I recommend watching these. These are amazing. Miga last year talked about
We
his
also
journey
have
with
links to these. Sorry, Sahana, I didn't mean
no,
to
keep going,
interrupt
keep
you.
going. No, you're
You
good.
can find past talks. Yeah, on the TEDxEmory.org website, we do have past talks from previous years and a little bit more information with some like speakers posters about our student speakers. So most of the time, if you guys want to know more information about something, you can just head over to our website and that can give you a pretty decent glance at it. But all of the videos that we have of our student speakers talks, as well as the other ones, are also on YouTube. And those are usually, you can just search TEDxEmory and throw in a year, and our student speakers are on there. So if you want to see Alina or Miga here, you can really just search them in a YouTube search bar and they'll also come up for the speakers talks. If you happen to not get the link below that Sahana is going to send in the chat, but just FYI, they're in a bunch of different places if you guys want to look them up.
Yeah. And if you're student speakers, you'll still be up there too. And so that's about me. Will your idea be next? And if you have any questions or comments right now, please feel free to ask.
I'm just going to say something really fast. That presentation was very quick and succinct. We had a lot of dates on there and a lot of information, but just so all of you guys know, if you do hope to apply to be a student speaker, make sure you fill out the Google Docs sheet that Sahana put in the chat. We're going to use your emails to send you guys pretty much all of the information that's on this PowerPoint so that you can have it as you're doing your application and thinking about and preparing for your application to be sent in. So don't worry about memorizing or writing down the dates really quickly. We'll be sending that information to you after this. So make sure that you do put your information in this Google slide because that'll help us stay organized and make sure that you guys get the info that you'll need. But
yeah, and if you go onto our social, if you go onto our social media, there will always be updates, and we have flyers out. I send flyers into like group me's and things like that, and you can always either just email me or Megan. I'll put my email in the chat as well. It's also on the application itself. If you go down to the last question, my email's there. But if you have any personal questions that you don't want to ask in a group right now, you can always just email me or Megan.
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat as well. I don't think you introduced yourself at the beginning, Sahana, but for everyone, Sahana is our director of student speakers this year. So any questions about the student speaker competition can be directed to her. I'm Megan, I'm the director of speakers. So if you guys have like just larger or more broad questions, you can also shoot them to me, but either of us are available to answer your questions at any point. So.
Yeah, I got a question in the chat. It's, can you talk about the support or not that we will have while developing our speech? Yes, definitely. So you will be working with me throughout this entire process. And by the end of the actual like interview number 2, you will be working on your speech throughout this entire time. And so by interview 2, you'll have a good kind of structure of your talk already. And so if you get selected to give a TEDx talk, then the next 2-3 weeks will be just some intense work on how to speak and how like to make your talk better, and then how to actually work on it. So we will be working very closely. And then we also typically have a couple of people from the actual speakers team of TEDx also kind of hop in and look at your talks for some other like pair of eyes and things like that. So you'll have the entire team on your side, and we will work through anything and everything that you would need to make your talk amazing. So you will have the support. And in a virtual setting, if you are in any way uncomfortable, if you have any questions or concerns, please just let us know and we'll figure that out.
Yeah, and we can pretty much be as hands-on or hands-off as you guys like. I mean, I've had situations in which I've literally helped to write a talk. We obviously want you guys to bring your ideas like as fully fledged as possible when you come to the interview rounds. Like you want to show us your best work so that we can see the potential of the talk. But we understand that not everything is going to be perfect from the beginning, and our team is really dedicated to turning out student speakers that have really awesome ideas to share. So if you feel like you might need a little bit of guidance or you might want to work with members of our team like fairly often, that's totally fine with us. And we want to help you and would support you throughout the entire process. So it's definitely nothing to worry about. If you even want like pointers for how to be a better speaker, like that's exactly what we're here for. So.
Yep, yeah. And so I got another question saying how many students are typically chosen for the conference. We had 2 last year, and as far as I know, it's usually 2 people. But if we have 3 amazing talks, then maybe we might have 3 student speakers. So it's about who applies, what kind of talks there are, and it's around 2 to 3 usually. And yes, graduate students can apply.
Yeah, I strongly encourage everyone to apply. These are usually the like favorites in our conference in the spring. Everyone is always really, really impressed with the student speakers for being able to get up on stage and share like awesome opinions and original ideas that haven't been like thought of before. I love working with student speakers, and a lot of the members of our team who aren't actually even involved in speakers love stepping up to get involved with the student speakers because it's just really cool working with you guys. So I would definitely say to apply. It's an awesome process in general, and you'll get to work with some amazing people and give a TEDx talk, which is like really, really cool.
Yeah, and I can also say I actually gave a TEDx talk in 2019 at TEDx Ursuline Academy in Delaware. And so I have firsthand experience of how rough it is to kind of create a talk, getting up on stage, giving it in front of people, and stuff like that. So whatever you need, we will figure out, and you'll have every support and every kind of support that you'll ever need. Oh, I've got another comment. So it is, what is yours, Megan and Andy's favorite student speaker talk and why? I can start. I've only been here a year, but last year we had Freddie Fang talk about sneakers, and I remember the conversation behind the scenes of like, oh, a talk about sneakers, and it was just totally left field, and like I've never thought of anything like that. But I remember the moment we were sitting in that room and watching him speak, and I looked down at my sneakers, and I was like, wait, what do they say about me? And so that exact moment, I was like, wow, this is what a TEDx talk is. It like makes you think about things. And so I loved that talk. I loved Miga's too, but this was just that moment of like, oh my God, this is like something I relate to and something I can think about for myself. So that's currently my favorite.
I can go
Megan,
next.
Andy.
Yeah. So my first year in TED, Alina gave a really, really interesting talk about this concept of liminality. And I'm kind of like a literature nerd and thought that she did a really, really interesting like talk that brought together aspects of her personal life as well as stuff that she like reads about and concepts that she has learned about in her writing classes. And I think it's really interesting how someone can take like a pretty abstract concept that they've learned about and then apply it really eloquently to stuff that's going on in her own life. She applied it a lot to her identity and like figuring out who she was in college. And the great thing about TED Talks in general is like they don't have to be anecdotal or personal. They can be more about like, hey, I just have this idea. Whereas on the other hand, we do have a lot of people just tell about their personal life story and why their life has been interesting or like noteworthy to talk about. And hers was like the perfect combination of the two, taking something that she has learned in class and applying it to like a very personal and intimate story. I just thought was really, really cool. So she was probably my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite is definitely my friend Sean Wojtowicz. He gave a talk in 2019 about his mental health and synesthesia and how it's propelled him forward to then start creating music. So that was one very personal story about how about his mental health journey and how he discovered that he had synesthesia and where that's led him. And that was a really cool talk to me. Good question.
Yeah, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to either private message me or just ask right now.
I came a little late, so you probably already discussed this, but I was wondering how it's going to look like virtually. Are the talks still going to be live or will they be pre-recorded and how that might look like?
Yeah, so we're looking definitely to pre-record things right now. And the logistics of that we will figure out and let you know as it's definitely going to be pre-recorded, and I'm going to do that sometime in March, before the main conference, and we'll figure all of that out depending on location and things. But it'll be pre-recorded, and if Megan or Andy, if you guys want to say anything more about the logistics.
Yeah, basically, we're going to be working with you guys. If you end up being outside of Atlanta, we're going to figure out a different situation than if you're in Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, we're looking at a few options to film it in a professional space with a professional crew, make it look really uniform, and up to TED's branding standards. They have high levels of video production that we need to meet. And so it would involve hiring a crew and setting a day and having you come to a shoot and stand on our red carpet with the TED letters behind you, just like you would be on stage.
But
And then
also,
these talks, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I was just gonna say, don't let this deter you if you don't plan on being in the Atlanta area for like the spring. We're not trying to only have speakers that are in Atlanta, although it would be a little bit more convenient as far as like pre-recording is concerned. But like our goal is just to create TEDx like videos that are up to par with the professionalism of other TED Talks. So we would work with you to make sure that you were happy with the video that we've created, and that you feel like comfortable and confident giving your TEDx talk. But being in the Atlanta area is not necessarily like a must-have for application. I think we'll ask you a question on the application just so that we know. But don't let that deter you from applying. We really are just interested in awesome original ideas that we think are worth sharing on the TEDx stage. So
Exactly. And for more professional series, some of our speakers are not in Atlanta. So we're figuring out remote filming anyways. So it's going to be part of our decision, not part of our decision process. So.
Gotcha. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I got another question in the chat. It says, will student speakers get to interact with each other and the other professional speakers, even though it's virtual? So student speakers will definitely interact with each other. I think that'll be great to get another pair of eyes that way and stuff like that. So I really want the student speakers to get to know each other and each other's talks and help each other. Last year, we had a speaker workshop where all of the professional speakers and the student speakers got together and kind of just worked on their talks together and heard each other speak and give each other tips. And it was like really nice and really fun. So I think Megan and I will try to do something like that this year, again, virtual format. And so people will give their talks and then people will get to interact with each other. So hopefully, yes, is the question, is the answer. The student speakers for sure will interact with each other, but we will try to figure out a space in which they can also interact with professional speakers.
yeah, we're trying to have some kind of platform where all of you guys can kind of just communicate with each other whenever you feel like it. It would be great if I could send like updates to all of the speakers just at the same time, sort of like a forum with if you guys have questions or like, hey, I want to work on my talk. Is anyone available? Someone can just respond to you and say like, yeah, send it over to me, or yeah, let's meet now. I can FaceTime or Zoom, something like that. But like, no matter what, you'll have access to the team at any point. So if you want either me or Sahana to check something out about your talk or someone else on the TEDxEmory team, we will be there at all times. But I would love to have more communication between all of the speakers. And that's like one of our top priorities for this semester, given that it's different and has to be virtual. Definitely looking for some kind of platform for everyone to communicate whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, I have another question in the chat. It says, what should the video for the application be of? Should I submit a video of me doing another talk that I've done? So the video is around 3 to 4 minutes, and it would be just talking a bit more about yourself and your TEDx speak talk idea. So we already have we have 2 questions on there that are like short bio and the talk ideas. So you'll have a good basis already, but if you want to just like flesh out your ideas more, it's for us to get to know you, know your idea for whatever talk you want to give, and then also just see how you speak in a virtual format. And that's why it's a little bit longer this year. But yeah, it's just the short bio and the TEDx talk idea, but just a little bit more fleshed out.
There's also an explanation of every portion of the application once you get to it. So it'll just be like in a Google form format, and then there should be an explanation underneath, like submit a video. So Sahana did a great job of explaining it, but if they